Hello YouTube, and welcome to the premiere episode of Jackass of the Week, where every week I give a brief commentary on someone who's pissed me off. The first ever persons to receive this dishonor is the United States Congress for their hypocritical blathering regarding what was originally thought to be $195 million, but may in fact be as much as $450 or even $1 billion worth of bonuses, which AIG rewarded to its executives, which was made possible thanks in large part to a $170 billion bailout that they have conveniently forgotten they voted for, just as they've forgotten about the other bailouts they've given to AIG, most notably the $87 billion one that occurred just shortly before the infamous $700 billion TARP bailout and the $37 billion bailout from the even bigger crooks at the Federal Reserve, and the $40 billion it has received from the TARP program, making it a grand total of $334 billion, which is more than 2% of our GDP, as AIG is only one in a never-ending list of companies being bailed out. If Congress's collective amnesia about voting for these bailouts is bad enough, it has also affected their memory of other abuses of bailout money given to AIG. Within weeks of receiving its cut of $40 billion from the TARP bailout, in September AIG spent $444,000 on spa treatments, banquets, and golf outings, and a few days later they spent $86,000 on a hunting trip in England. And on November 10th, days before requesting another bailout, they spent $334,000 to go to a resort in Phoenix, Arizona. And those are just the things we know about, folks. On October 30th, 2008, CNBC reported that AIG took a draw on $90 billion of the then $123 billion they then had, that were then used to bail their sorry asses out, which, again, the current total is $334 billion. And I'm dying to know how much of that was used on similar excursions. Worst of all, though, is Congress forgetting that AIG has been subject to several criminal investigations dating back over a decade, one of which is a joint scam with Marsh & McLennan Companies, where Marsh & McLennan Companies, which is an insurance broker, which is supposed to find the cheapest insurance policies at the best prices for its clients, has deliberately deceived them into thinking they are getting a good deal by setting up phony bids, where they jack up the prices in exchange for kickbacks from insurance providers like AIG. Marsh & McLennan Companies got kickbacks of over $800 million in 2003 alone, and AIG, of course, got more customers, which means more money. Two AIG executives pled guilty and were convicted of this fraud, and AIG was forced to pay $1.6 billion in fines, which, if you ask me, wasn't anywhere near enough. Congress has forgotten all those things and more, yet they conveniently remember the bonuses perfectly. According to Chuck Schumer, it boggles the mind. Dick Durbin has had it, and thinks that they continue to do it while we pour in billions is undefensible. Chuck Grassley, of course, did his colleagues one even further.
The first thing that would make me feel a little bit better towards them if they follow the Japanese example and come before the American people and take that deep bow and say, I'm sorry, and then either do one of two things, resign or go commit suicide.
What the hell? Let's hear that again.
The first thing that would make me feel a little bit better towards them if they'd follow the Japanese example and come before the American people and take that
Putting aside the obvious bluster and shameless political posturing, this at best completely misses the point. As shameful as these bonuses are, they are not the real scandal, because if they were not bailed out, they never would have happened. The real scandal is the fact that any company, especially one as corrupt as AIG, can be bailed out for any reason, especially on the vague and subjective criteria that it is too big to fail. That if even one of these companies goes under, then it will be the beginning of the apocalypse. But, of course, if that's the case, then why have they let the following companies fail? Bill Hurd Enterprises, which is the 11th largest automobile dealer in the United States. Goody's Family Clothing, which owned 383 stores. Shoe Pavilion, which owned 116 stores. Steve & Barry's, which had 267 casual clothing stores in 39 states. Wilson's Leather, which had 763 stores. Electronics giant Tweeter, which had 100 stores in 18 states. Or why not KB Toys, which was the longest-running major American toy chain, which operated 605 stores in 44 U.S. states and territories, and some stores in our neighbor to the north, Canada. Or why not especially Circuit City, which was the second largest electronics retailer in America? Surely their collapse will bring chaos. Oh my! Ah! The world's gonna end! The answer is simple. Even Congress, though it refuses to admit it, realizes that not every company can be bailed out. So they do the economic equivalent of playing God by deciding which companies should live and which ones should die. The main motivator of this decision, as with nearly every decision they make, is political. They want to win election and re-election, and that takes an obscene amount of money, which is gladly given to them by Wall Street. And who are the most powerful players on Wall Street and anywhere else in America? The bankers, of course, which our founding fathers hated so much that they thought it were more dangerous than standing armies. It's Thomas Jefferson that said that. Their influence is so great that they even have complete control over our monetary policy. Since 1913, all of our currency has been issued and our interest rates controlled by a privately owned bank posing as a government institution called the Federal Reserve, which has since 1933 been engaging in government-sanctioned counterfeiting by printing nearly unlimited amounts of money which has no backing in gold or silver. In other words, we owe them $2 for every dollar they print. At least $2. Probably more than that, though. I've said once, and I will say it again. The Federal Reserve and central banks in general are the biggest fraud ever perpetrated against the American people. If you or I did what the Federal Reserve and the member banks that control it did, we would rightfully be thrown in jail. And of course, Congress, with the notable exceptions of Ron Paul and to a lesser extent Dennis Kucinich, are silent about this. Why, you ask? As the saying goes, money talks and bullshit walks. From 1990 to 2008, commercial banks have given $213,647,490. Savings and loan companies have given $18,948,610. Credit unions have given $21,133,299. Finance companies have donated $56,209,394. Securities and investments, which include venture capital, hedge funds, private equity firms, and investment, have donated a total of, get ready folks, $635,791,458. Insurance companies have donated a total of $312,657,650. And finally, real estate companies have donated $597,957,983. Congress obviously doesn't give a shit about you, this country, or even common sense. Despite their rhetoric, they're motivated by greed. They're motivated by saving themselves and their rich buddies. They don't care about saving you, your job, or this country. And that is why the United States Congress is the jackass of the week. Stay tuned, folks, because they may be receiving this award several more times.